everybody, it's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies.
Movies.
And today we are reviewing another full moon movie. And it is called Sideshow, and it was made in 2000, or it came out in the year 2000.
Wow.
So, basically...
This was another movie I picked out also. So, you can blame me if it's bad. And spoiler alert, a third of it is bad, and the rest of it is okay.
Well, there's just a little... We were discussing it before we started doing the video, and there's minor little errors that could have easily been corrected.
Yeah.
And then the ending, there's a couple things about the ending.
The ending was baffling. That's the
make
word.
Sense.
That's the word I would describe it as. It is a baffling ending.
And it's like, we've been through this before, where a movie's been, except for these little errors, but it's pretty good all the way through. And then they come to the ending, and it's like they run out of gas.
Yeah.
It's not about, I don't think it's about money. I think it's about creativity and just giving up.
Yeah, I don't know what this is.
Through.
You know, I think that this is like Full Moon is a company. They started off with all this grand ambition, and they just became really lazy and just saying like, okay, well, okay is good enough. And it's not. It's like, it's the same thing with like trauma movies where like, I don't think Safi's ever seen a trauma movie in full. We should really do a trauma week and Safi will have a heart attack.
I don't know. It doesn't sound good.
But, you know, both of those companies, they talk all the time about how like the big studios and we're the little people and we do what we can. We do the best we can. But you really don't. And like both companies, they make these bad movies. They're the same level of bad. And they just stay bad. And they're like, okay, and with accepting of like, we make these bad movies. And just because we have some hardcore fans who say that they're really, really good, that's fine with us. And it's like, that's not. It's really not okay at all. And, this is just another crappy movie. I mean, it's okay. Like, it's not terrible. Like, I thought, wow, is this going to be the best one? And then, nope, disappointed. Again. Just like Safi. And her face.
Oh, God.
Right, Safi?
I hope I'm not dealing with a 2-year-old.
What do you mean?
That's silly. Silly talk.
Why?
Well, anyway, I don't know. I'm just thinking, if a company makes a product, I mean, something that you use, a washing machine or refrigerator or, I don't know, something, and they leave an important part out. They come to the end of it, and there's one more part they need to make it completely work. And I'm not really sure what...
And this movie just drops off. Like, it literally...
Yeah.
The character drops off, and then the movie drops off. And I was like, okay, the movie's not over because it's still going. And then it was like, oh, they're showing the characters with the actors.
Yeah, that was a huge...
It's like 10 minutes or something.
It was huge. It lasted a long time.
I was like, oh. They did the same thing with Dog Graveyard. So, that was weird. That was really odd. But anyways, the movie, the reason I chose the movie is because the little person actor is in it, Phil.
He's the best part, like you said.
He's always the best in anything that he's in.
Phil Fondacaro.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
He's been in a lot of movies, and he's very good at what he does.
He's an actor that I would watch just because he's in it.
Yeah.
And, I think last year or the year before we did that, whatever that was, the Creeps, with the monsters, and he was Dracula. And he's literally the best Dracula that I've seen on film. Which was pretty hilarious. It's like, how is that possible? Like, he really did an amazing job. And this movie is all about this evil sideshow and these people go to it and then they get fucked up.
Well,
That's literally the plot. That's the whole fucking movie. An hour and fucking 20 minutes, and that's the plot.
The people who go to it, there's like two couples who are like on a quote double date. And then, but there's also one of the couples, the guy brought his brother who's in a wheelchair. So there's another person with them. And then the sideshow characters are Phil Montecaro, who's like the ringmaster. So he wears a hat and the coat and everything.
Dr. Abbott Graves.
Yeah, which is weird. And there's also I have to say the names of these things.
Really?
There's Digestina, who I don't really get that. She sits in a tub of this liquid.
It's digestive acid, like in your stomach. And apparently,
You explain it, because I didn't really get it.
the way that she eats, she puts the objects in the digestive fluid, and then it absorbs into her somehow. I was kind of disappointed by that, because I thought, like, this was the perfect. I mean, I really think this movie wasted its potential, because I was picturing, okay, one of these guys is going to get put into that digestive acid, and you're going to see them get melted by the acid and eaten by her. That would have been really cool. You could have had some great gore, blood there. Nope, can't do that.
No.
And
they could have done that, I think, without that big of a problem.
yeah.
Then you have the Inside Out girl.
Yeah.
And she looks perfect on the outside, and she's really
she's a 7.
She wears sexy clothes to show all of her attributes, and
Really,
but
Safi?
then she starts peeling off her skin, like just taking it apart, like she's taking off a coat.
Yeah, that was cool.
Not all of it. She just kind of like opens it up to reveal that it shows her inside. So that's why she's called the Inside Out girl. Then you have the guy who has
the fat guy.
He has his brother in his body.
Yeah.
And his chest, and we've seen this in X-Files.
Basket Case.
The movie Basket Case.
Which was really good.
So it's not an old concept. It's been around a little bit. And
of course with them, you're expecting for him to eat someone or for him to, I don't know, but like...
That they didn't really have a factor. They just were threatening.
Yeah, they just kind of stood there and went like, ugh.
Because the brother who held the brother inside him, he was a very big guy.
Or wait, no, didn't Digestina eat someone's face or something? Like, I could have sworn that there was like one scene in the movie where there's this female character and she says, I've never done this before. And then she holds the guy's face up to her stomach and then does something to him.
I didn't know what was happening. I thought she was smashing his head into her body.
No, I think she was eating him or something, but I didn't understand what was happening there. I thought, this is really weird. It's kind of gay.
And then, let's see, we have Bug Boy. And that was like...
That's what Safi's name was
like
in high school.
Man.
That's what they called Safi in high school.
No, they didn't.
Bug Boy.
No, they didn't. Not true at all.
What did they call you then?
Nothing.
Really?
Anyway.
Oh!
That's just stupid. Anyway, it reminded me of the Invisible Man. It was a person who dressed up. You know how the Invisible Man was invisible, and the only way you could see him as a figure is if he would put like all these bandages on and a coat and a hat and sunglasses or something, and then you wouldn't know he was invisible because he was covered in all this cloth. Well, this guy had the same kind of thing. He was covered in all this cloth, and then when he removed his bandages, or not, whatever they were, cloths, he was like a bug. you could see all of his insides. I mean, what his body looked like. Not his inside, it's just his body. It was all, I don't know, it was weird. It was like, it was another like a Inside Out girl, only there just was nothing on the outside. It was just his insides connected together somehow.
I feel like,
I don't know.
there's a couple things with this movie, so I guess we should start talking about what happens with the characters. Like 30 minutes of this movie is just them dicking around, and then 20 minutes is the official sideshow, and then the rest of the movie is leading up to another sideshow, basically. This whole movie kind of just feels like an hour and 20-minute long sideshow performance that you're watching. Like, it feels like they made this movie to show off, like, the special effects of these characters they created.
Yeah.
The best thing about the movie, I guess, it felt like it could have been a really good movie. And it started off on a good note. They had this fat girl.
She wasn't fat at all,
And-
though.
Yeah, I know, that was funny. She
wasn't not one. I didn't get that.
She was like a fake fat girl. You know those ones that, you know how like in Ice Cream Man, they had that one kid and they put a pillow in his shirt to make him look fat? Like,
Well, I don't think they even did that. I think it's somebody who had a bad concept of their image, which happens a lot to teenage girls.
and she was like the nice girl in the group.
Yeah.
She went on this big after-school special monologue about how her friend only brings her around to make herself look better, which is pretty hilarious.
She doesn't look as good as her.
And she's the first one to get taken out.
Which was really strange.
That was surprising, because it was
surprising.
like, you know, usually she would be like the heroine of the movie.
Or she just get away.
And she's not. She's the
No.
first one who gets taken out. And I thought, you know what? Maybe this movie's going to be different. Maybe it's going to be spectacular, surprising, and it just gets blah. It's just like, there's the biggest fumble is that, you know, they're looking for this friend, and they bring the sheriff in, and this was back when people didn't officially go missing for 24 hours, you know, basically the police conspiring with the killers and letting them do whatever they want to do to people. And they got rid of that, I believe, like in all the states that they did that. But the sheriff character, he's like, I'm going to come here and I'm going to turn your place into my business and everything. Like
24 hours.
He was threatening and everything, and then he just disappears and you never see him again. And I thought, like, seriously? Like, that's like a horror movie cliche. Is like the sheriff or the law enforcement officer is like peeking around and then they get killed or something. And that never happens. He never shows up again. And just one by one, all the characters get turned into freaks themselves, which is sort of disguised as they're getting their wishes.
Well, Jeannie was the girl with the first girl, and she kept going on and on about her body isn't that great, and it kind of reminded me of my college roommate, the first year or the
Liz?
second year. No,
Liz?
Nancy,
Liz?
who went on and on about the size of her breast.
What about
And
Liz?
Robert Marco, don't do that.
What about Liz?
I don't know.
What about-
I'm not talking about her.
What
but
about
anyway,
the
there
Liz?
was nothing wrong with her body.
Oh.
But she seemed to want to have this perfect body, and so they said, "Oh, we got
She kind of had a homely wardrobe, though. Like,
well, that yeah,
her wardrobe was like a 40-year-old mother's wardrobe, you know, like,
yeah, she was wearing lots of mom clothes.
she needed a makeover. She needed to hook up with the Olsen sisters before they turned into zombies. Get advice
whatever.
from them, you know.
This is the nice girl that we talked about. But so anyway, he says, you want the perfect body, you can have it in 2 seconds. And so they turn her into this faceless girl with
And
a beautiful
she's-
dress that showed everything.
Her body's fine. It's
And
not
her-
really a...
but she has no face now. she doesn't have to worry anymore about looking at her body because she has no face to look at it.
And I felt like a big element of the movie missing for me was the motive, because there's no motive.
Well, it's just like they have a low opinion of people. That people look at them and they laugh and they think they're weird. That and because they look at.
But now, why would you want to live? Why would you want to work with those people for the rest of your life then? Because all these people are now going to be in the Sideshow forever.
Yeah.
Why would they want them to be there with them, and why would they want them to feel accepted with them? Like, why would? Because, like, what are they going to do? Have card games together? Yeah. Like, hey, I turned you into a freak. Come and play cards with me, and
this girl
I'll give you some
eat,
beans.
And she can't see, so how is she going to live?
I don't know.
She's not indigena or whatever.
Digestina!
Digestina.
Is Digestina what they would call you in high school?
No, Mark. Anyway, then we have the other girl who was her friend. That was Melanie, I think. She now is a little tiny doll girl wearing a perfect dress and looking perfect in a glass display case. Like, I'm not talking about a person sized, like a doll sized, like a Barbie doll in a glass case. And she was always telling the guy she was with, he has hands all over her. And she said, "Don't touch me. I don't like to be touched."
Yeah, that was weird.
And so the guy, the master said, "Now she's beautiful in this glass, and nobody will ever touch her."
Yeah, they did the Bride of Frankenstein trick where they made her look tiny. Yeah. I thought that was kind of fun. Like, this movie had fun elements. It's just that it was missing a story, it was missing substance, and it was missing horror movie elements. Like, it wasn't scary. There was some good music. Like, there's a scene near the end, and it had some really nice kind of mystical, creepy music, kind of depressing, and it fit the vibe perfectly. And I felt like, this movie could have been something, like, it's just that I guess at full moon, they don't really have much ambition, it's just kind of like, let's make some slop and put it out, and we'll pretend like we put a lot of effort into it. And it's like when you see those people in the fucking science fair, and they're like, hey, we put a lot of effort into, doing the science experiment where we tested which popcorn pops the most popcorn kernels.
Yeah, I remember that. That was really stupid.
Like, that's like what was considered like the gold standard or whatever, and it's like,
crazy kids.
That Full Moon Features, like, that is basically their entire catalog now is just the popcorn experiment, and that's probably a good review for this movie.
Okay, well, let's just talk about the rest then. Tommy is the boy who, I say boy, I'm talking about a teenager. He's the one who has hands all over that girl.
Well, they're 30-year-olds playing teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did some really rude thing. He picked up
that was funny.
Ringmaster, which would be very disrespectful and
rude. He picked him up and he was like treating him like a stuffed animal or something. Yeah. And he was just looking at him like, I'm gonna get you later on in the movie.
Now this is where they fooled you. You would think that he would be the first one that they were gonna get, because he actually was disrespectful to them.
Yeah.
And to him. I mean, he didn't make any. He didn't hide the way he acted. He was right out there, and he actually, when that girl disappeared, he was the first one to want to go back in there and look for her. He didn't want to leave without her. He knew that she went missing in there. He suspected, like the rest of them except for the one, that something bad had happened and so I have to give him credit for that. But I didn't like when he picked up the guy, because it was very disrespectful. But anyway.
Yeah, it was unexpected how much of a presence he had in the movie, because you would have thought he would be the first person to get killed.
Yeah.
And
it's like a red herring.
Yeah, and so that was some of the interesting stuff in the movie.
Well,
But-
I have to just say what they turned him into, because if anybody watches it, or they've watched it, or they can figure out what this means, because neither Marco nor I could figure it out. He was turned into Squeaky, the human canary,
Yeah.
and it was like a bird, a large bird, people-sized bird, but he was lying down on the ground, but he had a beak and a head like a bird, and I didn't get that. I don't understand.
Well, do canaries sing
Yes.
a lot? Well, maybe it's because he talks a lot or something.
I
Like
don't
I have no
know.
idea.
This
Like
is what we can't. But they call it Squeaky too.
I don't know.
I didn't get that.
Is Squeaky what they called you in high school?
No, Marco, they
like
didn't.
like that Manson girl.
No, Marco.
Were you
Anyway, let's
Squeaky?
keep going on.
Why not?
We have two more.
Are you gonna be Squeaky for Halloween?
No, Marco.
Why not?
Be quiet. And then the boy who was in the wheelchair. This was another weird thing. He was looking for his brother, who waited in the car for him while they went to look for that girl, because she went missing. That was Jeannie, the one who's now a faceless girl with a beautiful body, supposedly.
And the genie girl, it's hilarious because she acted like she really wanted to escape, but she just sat there.
Yeah.
She's like,
Well, she couldn't talk. She had no face.
why does she leave? You know,
I
like
don't know,
they
Marco.
acted like this was some alternate dimension too. They acted like somehow that the ringmaster was able to separate reality and keep all of the hostages in this other dimension. But it's like, okay, then aren't they going to take them into the regular dimension to be shown off as sideshow figures, or like what? Like, so because then it's like the girl should run away.
Yeah, that was weird. And then the boy in the wheelchair. So when he went to look for his brother, he was all the other kids were being held captive, and they were being turned into preachers. He rolls his wheelchair away and he falls over.
Yeah.
And he's having a fit, and he had a whistle with him, and he whistled his brother. Who
He had a
was sick.
rape whistle in case P. Diddy shows up.
Oh God. Anyway,
Right, Safi?
be quiet.
Right?
And then he blows the whistle, and the brother's been sitting in the van. Remember, he was the one. He didn't want to go looking for the girl. He just wanted to go home and make it all go away. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't care about the homely girl.
He comes running, and I guess he's really parked far away. Although I thought it was right there. But anyway, he comes, and so he tells he says, "Okay, I have to go get the van or something," which I don't even think he said that. He goes and gets the van. Well, all the sideshow, the Phil Fondegaro and the other, like the Inside Out girl, etc. They all come, and they go up to him, and they give him a choice. He can be something different than what he is now. Not, in fact, what he is now, he's helpless in a wheelchair because he is getting worse. He must have some kind of degenerative disease. Although he looked pretty healthy to me, and so he goes willingly with them. And that was different. They changed him into Euro the Beast Boy, and he's now like a beast in a cage. And he even tells his brother, who comes looking for him.
He says that he can do anything now, except he's in a fucking cage, and you know, what does he eat and everything?
And
like
he looks
it's just
like a beast. He has a beast face.
it's kind of irritating, this movie.
I can walk now and jump, and he walks. He kind of crab crawls, or whatever you want to call it, and then he hops. And then the last one is this boy,
The final guy. It's not a final girl, it's a final guy. And he's the worst character in the movie.
What had happened before they even went into the sideshow to see these characters?
When they were looking for their friend, the homely girl, the ringmaster gives them free tickets to the Freaks of Nature or something, and it's basically like a ticket for themselves to go in there and get fucked up.
Yeah.
And this final guy decides to have the ticket punched, and it's funny because the ringmaster's like, once you do this, there's no going back. And he's like, okay. And this was when the movie just got really retarded for me, and hence the retarded voice I just did, because
Well, it just didn't make...
it reminded me of that Beyond the Seventh Door, where, like, that guy knew that there was a bomb under the table, and he still, for some reason, took all the money.
Which is very greedy and stupid.
It was the same thing with this movie of, like, this guy knew that this was bad, what was going on was bad, and he's like, I'm just going to let them do what they want to me. And so he goes through the whole Sideshow, which is like an extended Sideshow performance thing, and then he lets them do what they want, which is, this part's weird, and this is where the movie drops off. He gets his fortune told, and I thought, this is kind of an interesting thing that she said, he would get what he earned. And I felt like, what the fuck did that guy earn? Like, he was the biggest fuckwad in the whole movie.
Well, he's the one that wanted to run away while that girl's missing.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
No.
And, it's like, he didn't earn anything. But I thought, in a real horror movie, this is the part where the sheriff shows up. This is the part where the final guy starts attacking people and saying, no, I'm going to get my friends out of here.
No.
And so then he would earn the to escape with his friends. But no, what he earns is he gets to be all alone. And what happens is they literally drop him off and they disappear magically. The carnival
disappears.
And what's interesting too is that is the end of the movie, and it just feels like it drops off. But another thing that's interesting is that they told him where they were going. They told him, we're going to this very specific location. Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
So that's why I felt like, this really should have had a sequel. Because why would they have told him that if they're just going to drop him off in the middle of nowhere? It wasn't like the Twilight Zone, where he's just in the middle of, like, an abandoned, like, if this is like a different dimension. He was just where the carnival was, except they're gone. And I felt like, you really should have had a sequel where they track down the carnival and they get all those people out of there, and then a bunch of other people get killed. Like,
and that would have given them a lot more meat.
Yeah.
And filling, like I talk about in other movies, a lot more to work with.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would have been, unless they had a limited amount of time. I don't know what it was, but still, that's what editing is for.
Yeah.
Because what they did was to fill up the meat, which should have been there, like Marco was talking about. They just did a little run through of all the characters.
Again.
And what they look like before, and I guess after. It's not all of them, I think. And so that's what Marco means by just dropping off. And that's, to me, it's another lazy. It's lazy to do that kind of thing. And plus the fact that we're like the canary. If somebody explain this to me, if anybody has watched this, or go ahead and watch it, it's free. Tell me what the metaphor is, because the other ones make sense. The girl doesn't want to be touched, but she wants to be pretty, so she's a little doll in a glass container where nobody can touch her. Then you have the girl who wants to have a perfect figure. So now she doesn't have to worry about it anymore. She has a perfect figure, but she has no face. And then the guy who doesn't want to be in a wheelchair and can move around, they turn him into a beast. So I mean he's not perceived as weak. Maybe somebody in a wheelchair would be perceived as weak. So now he's a beast. He's to be feared, and he can move around. So therefore he's the opposite of what he was. So those things make sense, but the canary one doesn't make sense. And then the boy who wants to be alone, or quote deserves, quote, to be
I
alone.
thought you were gonna say DiGiorno.
Yeah, DiGiorno. he's alone now. Okay, so
What happens now?
What happens now? So
That's not an ending, fuck faces. That's
that
not...
should be,
That doesn't constitute as an ending. They should have had a giant to be continued up there, like in Back to the Future, or didn't they do that in Oblivion?
Grimm. They did it in Grimm.
Oblivion 2 was really good. And that was a thing where we didn't like the first Oblivion at all. But the second one was like a really pretty good movie. And that could have been the same thing for this, but no. Can't do that.
Nope.
So this movie was a disappointment. Safi, I'm...
Go ahead and tell what you gave it.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, that surprisingly, Beyond the Seventh Door is still the best movie that we have watched so far, at least in my opinion. What do you think, Safi?
I guess so.
Because I would rewatch that before I watch any of these others again, which is pretty scary.
I don't know.
Because that's not what I thought would happen. I think that I would give this movie the popcorn experiment, but I'll also say I had a Lunchable and Lunchly, which is a new thing, and this movie reminded me a lot of the Lunchly meal because it was okay. It didn't feel like anything that was spectacular or anything that was terrible, and it just tasted kind of like a Lunchable, but not really as good. And then I drank the drink, and the drink was terrible.
What was the drink?
It was Prime. You know, the influencer drink created by Logan Paul. And, you know, it's terrible. It's like a gross Gatorade type thing, and the drink was the worst. And it totally ruined the meal, almost. And that's what this movie reminded me of, is like, you're eating this okay meal, and then you want to wash everything down with that. And what was weird was it said it had no sugar, but it tasted syrupy, like it was full of sugar. It was really weird. It was almost like drinking like slime or goo or something. Like, it was weird.
Oh, that sugar syrup that you can get. Kids get in the bottles.
But that actually tastes good though, because it's candy. And Safi, what would you give the movie? Would you give the movie a fried canary? Would you like to eat a canary, Safi?
No.
Would you like to be a canary?
No.
Would you like to be
No.
a canary in a coal mine, Safi?
Anyway.
That's what you look like right now.
I saw Marco with the Lunchable, and that's what made me think that's what I'd give it.
Oh!
Just a Lunchable. Because that's not a meal. And
How do you know? You haven't had one.
actually, I have. And I used to... When I took that chemotherapy pill, I took it for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And there were just so few things
The
that
diarrhea
I could eat.
pill.
And you know, chemotherapy is ugly, and I didn't get the kind where you get a shot. Well, you know what I mean. It's an infusion. I just took a pill, which was nice.
Infusion.
But it was still you can't taste anything. I mean, you can't even taste your toothpaste. And so there was hardly anything I liked to eat. It didn't matter if it was sweet or not. Even sweet stuff didn't mean... I couldn't stand cake. I didn't like peanut butter. I mean, and just... So sometimes I would just get Lunchables for quote, fun.
Safi, you
But
never
they
got
weren't really-
Lunchables.
Yes, I did. You just don't remember.
You ate KFC a lot.
Yeah,
You
I
ate KFC
KFC
every
twice.
week.
No, yeah, twice a week. That was the
Yeah.
only fast food meal I liked. And they're very consistent. I can speak highly of them because really I never got a bad meal from KFC, and it was always hot by the time we got home. And that you can't say that with every fast food thing. It's usually ice cold by the time you get it home, but not KFC. It was always hot. But anyway, that's digressing. So sometimes I would eat a Lunchable for fun, and I just didn't know what else to eat. And so that's really not a meal. There's not much to it. It's kind of weird because when you're a parent and you have your kids going to school and they want to pack lunch, they would now I don't know if they still do this, but they would encourage parents to buy a Lunchable as the kids' meal to take to
It
school.
was terrible.
And that's really, I mean, there's no, it's just like,
Nutritional value is
little-
not good.
no, if there's little round crackers, and then there's cheese and like bologna or turkey,
There's never bologna. It's ham.
ham. I thought there was bologna.
It's ham or turkey. It's not.
And then you might have a cookie or some other sweet
No, you have candy.
or candy. Well, they,
And then
they
a
did
Capri
have chocolate
Sun.
chip cookies, just like one or two, or
And-
Oreo. They had Oreos. I remember.
Yeah, that's good.
And then,
Capri
they-
Sun.
They would have Capri Sun.
Well, Safi, do you remember the taco Lunchable? Because that was the best one.
Yeah,
I
didn't
they
care
just
for that.
they discontinued it like a year after they released it because of
Oh.
how
The meat.
the meat filling looked like diarrhea, but it was really, really good. Like, it was fantastic. It was an A+. I would be buying taco Lunchables today if they still released them.
Yeah.
And I don't even like tacos. So,
But-
they really shit the bed with that one.
So anyway, that's kind of like this movie. It's not a completely full meal. There's some pieces missing,
Yeah.
and especially at the end. And
It was
it's
better
not
than
like-
Dog Graveyard, though.
It's not like this with every movie. This was clearly the way it ended, an avenue for them to make a sequel. And they doesn't like that in every movie. And they could make one. They could have made one. I don't know how it would work now because this was made in the year 2000. That was 24 years ago.
Oh, yeah, they couldn't do it now,
They
but,
have to use different actors. And I
back
don't know
then-
what Phil Mondacaro, I don't know what he's doing now, but I mean, that means he's 20 years older. It's just like, I've been listening to this group called the Hollies. If anybody knows who I'm talking about. And I used to listen to them when I was a kid. And then they have been playing music and they've changed it. They've changed band members. But they are still going. But they're like in their 70s. And, they changed different band members. They got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they've had different hits over the years. They've changed their clothes. But still, they get old. They got old. They get old. I mean, and these people, they're older, and I don't think they could use the same characters. I don't know. They'd have to get characters they looked similar, but they couldn't get the same ones to make a sequel. So, whatever. They had their opportunity, and it's just like Twin Peaks. The opportunity is waning away, fading off into the distant sunset.
Well, now that David Lynch can't even leave his house, and
It's because
he's gonna
smoked
have
too
to-
much.
he's going to have to do like video call directing, which he could still do. I really think what David Lynch should do is he should write the whole story, and he should direct a couple of episodes himself, but then he should get a bunch of other filmmakers who are kind of like in his avenue to direct the rest of the show. And then he would supervise, because that would be like a thing of where he could direct and then also other people could, and they could, make the show still really good and like give other people opportunities and, see what happens. And because, they really wasted the Twin Peaks, but like this movie's like whatever. It's like, and one thing that I didn't mention before we talk about the next movie, one thing I didn't mention that's really funny is that I thought that there's these two characters on the cover, on the poster, and they look African American on the poster. And then you zoom into the poster and you realize that they're both white, and it's because of the lighting is so odd and it's so like dark and dim that it makes them look African American. And I thought that was kind of hilarious. So Safi kind of looks that way now too. So the next movie is Trancers 3, Death Lives. And hopefully that'll be really good, because Trancers 2 was pretty good. That was like one of the better ones of last year. So And then I would also like to announce I have already picked out my next full moon movies, at least my 5. Safi gets to pick the other 5, and I've already picked them out. One of them is Ragdoll. I should have picked that one last year because I've always wanted to see that one. Yeah. Safi?
Okay, well that's it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you get a chance, watch this movie and tell me what you think about the canary. And also take a listen to some of the Hollies music.
No, ask Safi about Liz.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Her roommate.
He's talking about my first college roommate.
Ask her about the Liz.
She passed away. She had diabetes. She developed it when she was in her first semester.
Well, talk about the
college.
Liz.
And no. And anyway, I'm not going to do that.
Justice for the Liz.
She's dead. She passed away in, I think, 2013.
Safi won't...
and Marco, let's
Safi
be
won't,
quiet now.
Safi won't write her memoirs.
We're not going to disparage the dead. So anyway...
Oh, you disparage the dead all the time on this channel.
Oh, for heaven. Oh, yeah, right.
You
the
do.
Walking Dead, the whatever dead, the vampires, the whatever. So anyway, take a listen to the Hollies. My favorite is Stop, 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 where they have a banjo play in it, and it's really adds a lot.
Safi, the Hollies are gay.
No, they're not. And they're really good. They're a really good band. And Bobby Hicks is the main guitarist who, God, he's really good. But anyway, and there's Carousel, and there's Carrie Ann, and then you get into the 70s.
What about Sarah Sarah?
I'm going to be quiet. And then you get into the 70s and the 80s.
What about supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
That's like 63. So anyway, he ain't heavy. He's my brother.
I think it would be funny if I played Mary Poppins in a remake.
Okay, that's it.